Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Badger Pack Sports. Got a good one today. Going to be doing our first mock draft. Going to be doing a 3-round mock draft. Joined as always by my co-host, Justin Legal. Justin, how's it going?
Man, I'm ready to do a mock draft. Mock draft season is here. I know you and I have been doing, feels like 5 or 6 a day. So we're excited to share live with everybody here what PFF has in store for us. Do you want to give them a breakdown of what we're going to do?
Yep. Today we're just going to be going through a 3-round mock draft just for the Packers. And then so we'll pretty much just be kind of breaking down the guys in that area. It'll be a little bit longer that we'll probably break down these guys because it's the first time we're doing an episode on it. Obviously, you've done a little bit of the scouting combine stuff, so you might already know our thoughts a little bit, but we'll just be breaking down why we pick somebody over someone else. So I say we get this thing fired up.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, PFF for free, without creating an account, you can do one of these per day per web browser. So if you want to cheat and do one on your mobile phone, do one on Chrome, do one on Edge, Firefox, you can do one per day. And you can do up to 3 rounds. No trades. So we're not going to be doing any trades today. We may talk about, in the situation, if the board falls a certain way, we may discuss that we would consider trading back, but we would have to make a selection at the three spots. I believe 23, 55, and is it 83, I believe, Robbie? I think those are the numbers that come to me.
I think that's right.
Yeah, so 3 rounds, Packers. We are going to enter the draft. If it's going to let me.
So I think if we can get 150 views on this video, we might have to bump it up to premium.
There we go. Yes. And we're going to be underway here.
Yeah. I was going to say, so let's see who got drafted just before us.
Yeah. Well, I think for viewers here, just to kind of see where the top of the board's looking, kind of surprised to see, wow, where did Shedeur go?
He's fallen. I've heard top teams in the top 10 aren't even looking at him right now.
Yeah, but Travis Hunter 1 to Tennessee. You see Abdul Carter falling to 6. Yeah, Abdul Carter falling to 6. Ashton Genty at 5 seems rich.
Yeah. I've seen him at 6 though. A lot of people like him to the Raiders there.
Well, and news that just dropped literally an hour ago or so, the Raiders picking up Geno Smith via trade. Maybe that need for quarterback isn't there. But Robbie, I'm sad inside. Pick 8, your boy Jahad Campbell to the Panthers.
Yeah. PFF, they were listening to us.
Yeah, but any of these other, your boy Matthew Golden, pick 20. We talked last video. Going up to 19. That literally would have
19. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the Broncos and the Steelers, and even the Chargers could be looking to draft a receiver. So definitely.
Well, here we are. Well, yeah, here we are at 23. Here's some names on the board. James Pierce Jr. had a strong combine. There are some concerns around him on some character issues, but also just maybe a fit in the 4-3 scheme, and if he has the right body type. But he's an athlete.
Yep. Then you got Luther Burden right below him. Speed guy. I think that he might be a little too much like a Reed, where you got to scheme him open and just get him moving. It's like, I don't know if we want another guy like that.
Yeah, I mean, my boy Walter Nolan sitting here, defensive tackle from Ole Miss. We got a couple. You see 3 in a row here with Derek Harmon, Darius Alexander, Walter Nolan. Kind of got a pick of the litter there. We do have a small need there, but TJ Slayton probably walking. Still hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah.
Luther Burden's interesting. He has returning punt and kick return abilities, but at 23, it just seems a little rich for my blood.
Yeah. Right now, I would say for me, it's between James Pierce Jr. and I actually kind of like the Packer pick. I feel like would be Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas, just because I think he has the ability to play tackle, but he could also slide into guard there too. And we know the Packers like their versatility. Gutekunst, I said it in his pre-combine presser, just about versatility. Also young, so just about to turn 21. He's not the 24-year-old, so he also talked about that, liking guys who are younger.
Absolutely. I'm with you. Again, is it a pick that we would be ecstatic for? No, but screams, Kelvin Banks does scream Packers. You got to think about it too. Elton Jenkins has had a little bit of injury trouble over the years.
Yep.
Calvin Banks played tackle in college, having that versatility. If a Rasheed Walker ends up getting hurt, or even Zach Tom, just having a guy you can plug and play. Jordan Morgan, our first round pick last year. The jury's still out. Had banged up his shoulder last season, so I feel like you can never have enough bodies in the offensive line room, and you never want to be a team desperate to draft an O lineman. You always kind of want to have guys in your arsenal. And I feel like a Calvin Banks fits that really well.
Yeah, but at the same time, James Pierce Jr., defensive edge, can't have enough of those guys either.
Yeah, I mean,
explosive
I'm
athlete.
in for either one of those guys.
Ooh, I think I like James Pierce Jr. I think he's got the talent. I think that's where you go in the first round.
Yeah, I'm with you. We need pass rush. Either one, and especially since last year we invested that first round capital on an offensive lineman. Yeah. I think you give Jordan Morgan that chance to get healthy this offseason, develop. Yep. And I think there's some more depth pieces in the offensive line later on in the draft too. I think a top of the shelf edge guy like James Pierce makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and take James Pierce Jr. And one thing we'll say is the guys we draft, we will drop their highlights in the description too, so y'all can watch some of their film. So James Pierce Jr. at Tennessee.
Yeah, and this is what I think kind of like what we want, not necessarily what the Packers will do.
Correct. Impossible to predict. And look at that name on the top of the board here at 55. Oh man. PFF knew I was going to be here, for us doing an episode here on Badger Pack Sports. And Alec Iomanner's sitting there staring me in the face. But Robbie, how much do I have to sell you on this pick? Let's look at some other guys here.
Too. I was going to say, just looking at it right here, I do like Shamar Turner. I think he's versatile on the line there. Another big body guy coming out of Texas A&M. They had a lot of talent on their line, this defensive line this year.
Absolutely, yeah. It looks like 6'4", 300 pounds, stout guy in the middle.
Yep, and then I know another guy that people on the Packer Discord have been looking at is Carson Schwessinger. Right there, I forget what position he used to play. He's either like a running back or a safety. So he just plays at a different type of style. I think he just plays the ball very, very smart. So impact as Mike or Will linebacker right there for a 4-3 defense. That's what we got going on. And so that's kind of going to be your replacement for Quay Walker if he doesn't stay. But just very instinctual guy, really good at attacking the ball. A little bit smaller. So
that's what worries me with him.
Yeah. That's my only concern because I think Edgerrin Cooper is also a little bit small.
Yeah,
I think those guys could both fly around to the ball. But I think we got to go with your guy.
Yeah, Alec Iomanner, we have a desperate need in receiver room. And again, this is as we sit today on March 7th. A lot can change. We could acquire a guy like DK Metcalf, maybe. That name's been thrown around. If we acquire a guy via trade or free agency, then I think the need for receiver maybe isn't as intense. But again, he's an ex-receiver, 6'2", 210's got a great size to him. One thing for his height, I saw this random fact. Robbie, how tall do you think AJ Brown is from the Eagles?
6'1".
He is 6'1", but he looks like 6'4". I don't know. Like I was talking to some guys in the Packer Discord, and they were like, "What? 6'1"?" So the size is there. 6'2". He played some a couple of years at Stanford. He has some strength. Likes to find the holes in the zone. Catch the ball in traffic. Again, had some drop issues. We talked a lot about this guy in a couple of videos. But yeah, I think this would be the play if he's sitting here at 55. Lots of value for sure.
I thought Stanford had him listed at like 6'4" at one point.
Yeah, you know how crazy these depth charts can. Charts can get.
Yeah, we need to stop this with college football and their dating profiles. Okay, it's like they're fine. He's over 6 foot. You don't have to make him, 6'4". So.
And he's a Canadian, so he can handle the cold, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing, right? Maybe Green Bay, feels a little bit at home for him in the winter months. Yep. So let's snag Alec Iomanner at 55.
Right. So we got an edge and we got a receiver.
Yeah, we got James Pierce Jr. and Alec Manor. It's pick 87. I think I said 83 earlier, but here we are, pick 87. Let's maybe take a look at a couple picks before and see who came off the board. Any guys that catch your attention, Robbie? Let's go. We can start up at the top of round 3 and just kind of see some names here. See Darian
Jalen
Porter at the end of
Knoll.
round 2.
Yeah, Jalen Knoll also at Iowa State there.
And he's more of a slot guy, right? Kind of a speedster kind of guy in the inside, or 5'11", 200. So,
Yep.
and the thing, and I think I talked about this last video. It's okay to get a guy in the slot. Jaden Reed.
Yep.
I know the initial reaction is, "Oh, we got Jaden Reed," but it's like we can't rely on one guy. Injuries happen. NFL's a violent game. You got to have somebody. I know we try to sprinkle Bo Melton inside, and he didn't have a great 2024 season, so I don't think it's a bad thing to look at a slot guy like a Jalen Noel if he's sitting there at 87 for us.
Jared Ivy's there. I know that was kind of a name that's been thrown around.
Very nice PFF score last year. Look at that.
Yep.
8 sacks. 6'6", 285. That's a prototypical type of pass rush size you'd see in Green Bay.
Yep.
A little older, 23, but still definitely a fit for a 4-3. We'll have to see what. The Packers are one of the teams he's most drafted by in PFF. That's interesting.
Yep.
So I guess if we look down here, we talked about, we've got an edge guy, we got a receiver. We see a couple different guys here, a couple offensive linemen. Got Jalen Royals looking at us from Utah State, Savion Williams.
Oh, if we hadn't taken your boy, I think Savion Williams might have been an option there. I think the guy I like.
Have you fallen in love with TCU receivers again? I know there's that whole stigma TCU.
No,
receivers
I'm not in love with TCU receivers. He does tend to catch the ball with his body. I know people say he's got good contested catches, but there's one. It's like you see it. He makes a contested catch. He gets it up, but then like he brings it into his chest and he's like bobbling it. Like he does end up holding on to it, but it doesn't actually look as like that great of a catch.
Yeah, and you can see, played a full season in 22. Looks like a couple injury issues last year in 2023. Didn't surpass 1,000 yards or really come close to it. He did play a little bit of Wildcat.
Yeah, he was basically a running back. He had 600 yards rushing and 600 yards receiving. But that just shows you that Jack Besh was probably the better receiver.
Right. Savion Williams gives me a little, Ty Montgomery vibes, going back in some time with the dual receiver running back. Yeah. Still haven't forgiven him from that kick return against the Rams a couple of years ago, but I digress. But I guess, Robbie, back to the board here. What are some names here that are coming to you that with who we picked already?
Maybe Marcus Mabeau there out of Purdue. Just looking at him.
6'5", 300.
I think there's potential that he had some versatility there. And look at where he's from, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hometown kid. That's right.
So.
And it looks like, again, another guy here, started at guard and tackle, versatility. That's a guy that you could see him being shuffled around and moved around. I'd be curious to know if he has any center experience. I'm not super familiar with Marcus here, but again, Josh Myers
that he could maybe switch there.
Yeah, it says right here he could be a starter at all 5 line positions, although he must improve his pad level to play center. So, I think there's a lot of versatility. That the fact he can play all 5 positions he just screams Green Bay Packers. Big Ten kid, Purdue, very familiar with kind of the Midwest environment, and hometown kid from Wisconsin. So that's definitely I actually would like this pick quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, no, in my mock drafts, I've liked him in the 3rd round here. Kind of depending on if I'm able to get a receiver or not. Because I do like to get a receiver. I don't know, who's even left for receivers if you were to go to.
Yeah, let's see here. We got filter positions and receivers. So we got a Jalen Royals, slot guy, Utah State.
Yep.
I've sent you some of his film early on. I like him. I don't love him, but I think he's a guy that has some explosion and a little bit of yards after catch ability. Savion, we've talked about, the beast, Tez Johnson himself.
The Packers, this is where it's like, if the Packers have their standards, they have their thresholds, and Tez Johnson will not meet them. They will not draft him. He is off their board. I can almost guarantee.
See, here's a guy, Robbie, Isaiah Bond. What do you have to say
Yep.
about him? Guy that had a lot of hype around him in the combine, kind of underwhelmed everybody.
Yeah, I think he'd be a sneaky guy as far as a slot guy for the Packers that they could take. Supposedly the fastest guy at the combine wasn't even the fastest guy on his team, apparently. But I think
Yeah,
they were talking like his miles per hour are up there, so like he can get up to speed well. So I think if he's fallen, he'd be a guy to look at. So maybe Isaiah Bond there.
yeah, and I'm curious.
I
March
like him better
26th.
than Royals, I think, potentially.
Yeah, I do too. And March 26th a day, circle on our calendars. That's Texas's pro day. I want to see Isaiah Bond maybe bounce back in his pro day. I mean, he's
Yeah,
a human, right? You hype yourself up for the combine. You have it circled on your calendar for so long, and then here's your moment, and maybe he just tensed up and overthought it. Maybe just give him a chance
yeah,
to kind of recoup and get in his pro day with some of his guys. Quinn Ewers throwing him the ball. I really like the potential out of Isaiah Bond for sure.
yeah. I just saw a short today making fun of Quinn Ewers' throws, how bad some
Yeah,
of them were on his out routes.
he did not have a great throwing. Did not throw great at the combine for Quinn Ewers, and that just shows that the quarterback class this year is. I'm so thankful we're not quarterback needy in this draft because
Yep.
it's tough. I'm a big Jackson Dart guy. Just throw it out there. I think he's probably got the guy with the most potential in this draft class and is being a little undersold. But anyways, Isaiah Bond's another guy, and I think the other guys, they're a little too far down the board for us to consider here.
Yeah.
Um,
I was gonna say, I actually don't mind Torrey Horton, but like I said, he's down there farther.
yeah.
I would not take him right now.
Right, and obviously with PFF, we can only go to 3 rounds, but this is a guy maybe in that 4th, 5th round area. We
Yep.
see Torrey Horton. I think look at his size, 6'3". Definitely
Yep.
a guy that has a frame to him. So
Just
yeah,
skinny,
I guess what
but
I you let me take Io Manor last pick. I'm going to give you the freedom.
ooh,
GM Robbie Sorensen. What I'm going to put all the pressure on you. We're in the boardroom. You're putting the phone call into the draft. What's the name you're putting on the card?
ooh.
Let's go back here.
I feel like part of me really wants to go Isaiah Bond, but I gotta go Marcus Mabo out of Purdue.
And I love the pick. I
think just the versatility. I think it makes sense there.
Absolutely. I'm with you. And again, solid. I mean, look at my guy getting an A+ grade from PFF. I mean,
Yep.
And again, I really think if some Packer fans, here's the thing, all these guys have holes in their game where there's no perfect,
Yep.
there is no perfect prospect. So we can blast this out, and this is Badger Pack Sports Mock Draft 1.0. As pro
Yep.
days come out and other evaluations are done, the boards are going to shift, and PFF does a really nice job keeping the boards up to date.
Yep.
But yeah, Robbie, what do you think if we had this draft? What's your feeling?
I mean, we'll be at the draft, and if they get James Pierce Jr., I'm gonna be psyched. Like I said, there A+. I mean, the guy's a talented edge rusher, maybe a little light, but like, like whatever he weighed in at the combine, he's gonna put on a little bit more weight. But he still ran in the 4.4s. Like, he adds a little bit of weight. He's at a 2.5, or I mean 4.5 in there. It's like that's not bad. He could get up to the 250, 260, play there on the edge and still be explosive, I think. So that's definitely
and that's the thing too.
there.
These guys are at their weights for their college scheme. When they come to the NFL, they're going to be in
Yep.
a professional strength and conditioning program. Obviously, James Pierce in the SEC, I'm sure their strength and conditioning is top notch. But when you get to the NFL, it's another level, and there's less restrictions on when you can work out. Yeah, it's your job, and there's less restrictions. I know college, it's very sanctioned on workouts and things of that nature. So I don't think you can look too much at the weight. I think if we don't want to get him too bulk, or else the speed factor is going to diminish. So we got to have that happy medium and figure out, what's that weight and height. But the thing too is, like, if you look at the PFF big board, he's ranked 12th. If we're sitting there at 23, you got to imagine Goody's phone's ringing. Teams maybe calling up to maybe trade back a couple picks. And that's another thing that we've talked about too, is there's, I feel, my personal opinion is that this draft is very top loaded, like that first 6 to 7 picks maybe. where it's like these are
Yeah.
surefire starters, and the rest of the guys are guys like James Pierce, where they have a high ceiling, but also potentially a low floor, and you don't know what you're getting, and you can get a ton of value and maybe recoup some picks. And Goody did say that in his presser that he would like to acquire more draft picks. So that's
Yeah.
something to also consider. I don't want us to trade out of the first round because that would stink in Green Bay,
Yeah.
waiting all night
It
and
would.
then hearing it we trade out. But I think that's, if a guy like James Pierce is sitting there, I think you have to think Goody's going to potentially look at trading back.
Yep, absolutely. But I mean, I do think there's a lot of talent that'll be there around that pick 23 that I like. It'd be somewhat hard for me to trade back. It all kind of depends on who's all there. Because like I said, I really like Matthew Golden. I like Pierce that we just got. Jihad
Well,
Campbell.
Robbie,
It's like depending on Maxwell Hairston
that's what I
jumping
was
into
just
the
going to
first
highlight.
round.
And you covered him. We were talking second, third round for him.
Yeah,
Had an elite combine with the 40 time. I will say I have seen some chatter, and there's not much. I don't know how much substance is behind it, but there were some discussions of some potential character concerns with him, with some allegations back in 2022 that's been kind of floating around the Twitterverse.
yeah,
There was a police report filed on him too, so I wonder if some teams might be a little bit kind of standoffish on him, but
yeah,
PFF loves him, and Washington grabbing him towards the end of the first round would be some good value.
yeah. I
But
was
what
gonna
what
say it all depends on uh, what it is, and I mean Joe Mixon a lot of years ago. Like there's always character concerns normally with some of these guys. Not everyone, but there's definitely guys with character concerns that get drafted in the first round.
And I will say I don't know if PFF is glitching tonight. Am I missing? I don't see Shadur Sanders on here, round one.
He's been falling. Like I said, I've seen a couple things that just said the teams in the top 10 did not like his attitude.
Wow. Who would have had that in their bingo card? Shadur Sanders out of the first round. That would be you would have to think, realistically here at that 31, 32 spot, if he's sitting there, kind of like the Lamar Jackson situation many years ago where Baltimore moved up to 32 to take him because you get that fifth year option. You would think a team maybe like a Vegas or the Giants or someone that just says, "Hey, we need a quarterback. We'll take him towards the end of the first round and get that fifth year option." Um,
Yeah, but the
I could see
Giants, I
that.
think they're looking at Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Imagine that quarterback room: Aaron and Shadur.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's like it's the Dion effect in the negative light for Shador here.
Yeah, this would be a fun draft. I mean, look at and another name here that's kind of catching my eye is Shamar Stewart. A guy that we
Yep.
saw, mocking to us like for the last 2 weeks. Now with that really strong combine is shooting up to the top 10 to Chicago. I would not want to see him on the Bears.
Not at all.
Yeah, I think this is a solid draft. Any other names, Robbie, that sticks out here to you?
I mean, Darius Alexander still just kind of shocking because he's really flown up from Toledo at 30 going to the Bills. Just an older guy too.
Very strong defensive interior draft. You see quite a bit of
Yep.
guys, Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, Derek Harmon,
Michael
Darius
Williams still
Alexander.
going at 7 is a little shocking to me. Just
And
because of his
I
injuries.
right, is he going to run at his pro day? I would think so. I have to see when their pro day is, but
Yeah, either that or he might try to do something separate. Just do a private workout and run.
yeah, that's on March 12th, so 5 days from now. We'll have to see if he's
Give him as much time as he can before the draft.
just trying to look here. Jalen Walker, I'm just looking at some stuff here. Jalen Walker will not participate in Georgia's pro day, which is I saw his name on here too.
Yep, 22.
Yeah, 22, right before the Packers. So another guy that could slip in a guy. I think he was in a lot of people's preseason rankings number 1 in the entire draft class.
Yeah, I don't like him. He's the
Yeah.
6'2" size. I don't know. What is it? I think like Jarvis Jones all those years ago. He was like a 6'2" guy. Like I feel like there's a couple years in a row where Georgia had some outside linebackers that were like 6'2" that just didn't produce in the NFL.
Well, guys, I think this is a good way to close this. I will say,
Yep.
Put in the comments. Who would you select? At 23. What do you think of these three players? I think there's tremendous upside here. I think this fills a lot of holes in the roster. And like I said, we'll drop film or highlights on all 3 of these players. But Robbie, what are your closing thoughts here?
Yep, no, if this is how it goes, I'd be happy. Like you said, leave us a comment. Tell us where we're right. Tell us where we were wrong. We're going to be
Roast
happy to
us.
keep on doing this. Yep, roast us. What should we do? It's just fun. Like Justin said, me and him send mock drafts back and forth all the time. So it's just fun for us. So hopefully you guys enjoy it.
And with that, we'll catch you all on the next episode of Badger Pack Sports.